Alright, so I just came back from the movies from a showing of DeepWater Horizon. Well, actually, I didn't because, I came back and bathed my dog because there's shit in his fur. So, yeah, I just came back from watching Deepwater Horizon at the movies, basically, and I couldn't not make a video on this because this movie it's fucking unreal. It's amazing. I really don't know what other praises I can give it. I just can't. I can't even. It's legendary, honestly. It's definitely up there in my opinion, and I doubt I'm alone. So naturally I just had to make a video about it, and I even bumped, I totally shat on my list. I said, fuck my list. This list of points that I think would make unique videos, I totally threw that away and put that aside and said, no, we're doing this one first. But the point of this video is not some sort of giant praise piece of my gold star of approval and here's why and bullshit like that. What's really interesting about this movie and what makes it really insanely good is because of the truth being told. It's very genuine. It feels real. You tell stories, a lot of times you have all this bullshit being told, this way of storytelling that's larger than life. And this is why it stands out. Yes, of course, you have these Hollywood elements of cinematography and devastating explosions of epic proportions. But it all makes sense. This isn't some Michael Bay bullshit where it's blown out of proportion, explosion here, explosion there. No, this movie definitely feels like the real deal. It definitely feels true to the story that actually happened. But as I was saying, this movie is literally just reality transferred over onto the silver screen. And that's why it absolutely shits on this feminist dystopian narrative. And in all honesty, without even trying, this movie was in no way trying to be a statement against feminism. It just happened to be because it's emulating reality. I mean, you should definitely go see it in your theaters if you can, if it's still there. But I'm going to talk about spoilers now, so I don't know why you clicked on this video if you didn't want to be spoiled. I mean, it's literally impossible to make the point I'm making without spoiling the parts for you, so stop this video here and go see it, or be spoiled. It's your fucking choice. Now, it opens with Mark Wahlberg, the Southern family man, which, terrible Southern accent, that is one of the two things that were shit about this movie. But it starts the morning before he goes to his job as an oil professional on an offshore drilling rig for a month at a time. He's going to be away from his family for a month at a time, working on an offshore oil rig platform, the New Horizon drilling platform. And on that platform, we have our faithful leader, Jimmy. He's the manager of the entire drilling operations of their company, drilling for BP Oil. We have the interaction between the BP suits, who really just want the job done as fast as fucking possible. We have all the blue-collar boys really on the floor that are going to be, they're working with the equipment themselves, to the foremen who are, managing those guys. And it's really just showing all the moving parts to this incredibly complicated operation that is a drilling oil platform. And it's so honest and accurate that it honestly could just be one of those oil drilling documentaries you see on Discovery Channel or the History Channel, just in a cinema format. But the attitude of this drilling oil platform with all the men at work feels very real. And the reason why it feels very real is because it just embodies how men behave at work. And what I mean by that is men just have this attitude, I think, about work that they see work for what it is. Work, not fun. But more importantly, I think they have a tolerance because they have a natural disposition to actually find satisfaction in work and completing tasks, whereas women don't seem to find that satisfaction. I don't really see them particularly happy at work. I mean, the only time they seem to be happy at work is when they're chatting up a storm with a coworker in between shifts or coffee breaks and stuff like that. That's not to say that women are necessarily lazy. Men do it too. But there seems to be a sense of satisfaction that men have that women just seem to not have when it comes to work. I mean, men seem to have this go button. They get into this go mode when things need to get done in order for the success of whatever operation that they're contributing towards. And in high risk, high reward, and high labor environments such as oil drilling operations, this attitude couldn't be more prevalent. I mean, a quick look at the entire industry as a whole will show that it's a very clearly male-dominated industry, with 75% being men and only 25, just under 25, being women. And that, of course, isn't even taking into account where they're actually positioned in the industry. I would imagine most of them, or at least a very large portion of them, are put behind a desk doing business administration or secretary work, HR, or something to that effect in a large drilling corporation. Whereas when you actually get into the field, when you're working with the machinery and actually have a very hands-on role with the company's operations, it's entirely male. I mean, you look at these Discovery Channel documentaries, and you just every the drill pipe operators and foremen, they're all men. I've yet to see one of these shows where they showcase a female drill operator. You know, the guy that essentially hooks up all the clamps onto the actual drilling pipe, and which is very physically demanding, as well as you must work fast and you must work hard, and there's incredible competition when it comes to this because it's a very well-paid career for somebody who really only needs a high school education and a H2S course. This essentially isn't a role for the lazy or the slackers. And this is also typically where all these foremen started from, so they have already proven and succeeded in this position before. And as a whole, what I'm trying to say here is that if you don't find some sort of satisfaction in working your ass off, like in these positions, or have this go, go, go drive or attitude towards work when the going gets tough, essentially, this is not a job for you. You would either be not interested, quit, or be fired because you tried and failed because you just don't have the drive for this type of job. And using reverse deductive reasoning, because it appears basically no women are in this position, it's reasonable to assume that there's something fundamentally different about men and women in regards to this job position, and I would reason that it comes down to drive and attitude, at least when it comes to work and typical labor-oriented roles. You know, there's this great part of the movie where morale is just lifted once they get the order to start drilling and actually getting shit done, and everyone's just in high spirits, you know, this like satisfaction to actually getting shit done, making the world go round because of your work. Yeah, that's the attitude of these workers, of these men. But anyways, I should not forget the one vagina on the rig. There's only one. Trust me, I'm not making this shit up. It's literally one vagina on the rig, and her job is to basically make sure the autopilot of the platform is working and functioning properly to make sure that it's dead center with the actual pipe that's going down into the ocean. Otherwise, the pipe bends, and you don't want to break the fucking pipe. That's very bad, obviously. So that's her job, is to make sure the autopilot is working, and if it's not, she has to steer it back into position with a bunch of buttons and joysticks. Now, her attitude while she's working doesn't seem to stand out to the audience. She really is just there, and she just has a job, and it's kind of like one of those people that, push buttons on this Death Star, and you don't really know who they are. Basically, even though that they are a central character. I mean, her personality doesn't really stand out, unlike the blue-collar boys, where they're riffing, they're having fun, they're working hard, and they have this attitude of satisfaction, where that doesn't seem to be the case in her. She doesn't appear to be unhappy, necessarily, but she doesn't really stand out. She doesn't stand out and clearly different from the boys on the rig. And when everything's going right, she's getting the work done. She's there, she's a part of the cog in the wheel, and she's still turning the entire machine. However, when disaster strikes, she absolutely freezes up. It's the men that are controlling the situation once disaster strikes. The foremen are trying every possible way to reroute the pressure once it starts to be overloaded. The grunts and low-level employees, they're trying to open doors, open latches, close hatches, and save the BP suits that were on the drilling floor once disaster struck. It's Wahlberg that instantly searches for Larry, our fearless leader, who was stuck showering when an explosion blew out his whole wall, and he got glass all over his fucking body, and he's pulling out fucking shards of glass, and he starts getting dressed in his suit while he has glass in his body, so he's just in pain while he's pulling up his boots and shit like that. And then he tries to wade away until Wahlberg finds him. Wahlberg and another guy, they save another guy who has his leg pinned in like a crevice because of the explosion. Wahlberg's essentially saving everyone because that's his character, that's the story, that's the main protagonist, and Larry, he helps Larry up to the control bridge, and they try to cut the pipe, and when they can't, they basically give the order to everyone just get the fuck off the rig kind of thing, right? It's the men that get the lifeboats prepared and get them set up and ready to launch and leave the platform with stuffing them full of their co-workers. Now, this is only really proof that these men are taking control of the situation. That's about all it is there. There's not a single man who really seems to be completely lost. There are frightening moments for some of them where they have clearly fear of death and danger, but they suck it up, essentially, and continue on responding to the disaster. However, though, in contrast, there is the one woman who essentially does nothing. She freezes up and takes no action. The look on her face is literally, oh my god, I'm going to die. And then she does nothing to try to save herself. I mean, it takes a man to literally save her ass. I mean, it's Wahlberg coaching her through mentally in order to get her head in the right space, or at least just tolerable to get her feet moving, for fuck's sakes. Okay, come on, we gotta go to the lifeboats now, honey. Okay, come on, let's go. You're okay. Okay, we need to go to the top of the oil rig now. We need to go to the helicopter pad now. Okay, you're okay, come on, let's go. Keep talking, keep moving. It's okay. We need to jump now, okay? Let's go, come on. I mean, seriously, it sounds exactly like that press conference when Hillary seemed to just fucking blank out, and then there was that black guy that came on to the stage and just talked her through everything. And it's, you're okay, keep talking. We're gonna keep talking. I mean, this woman needs Wahlberg to be her mental rock, essentially. She can't function in this disaster situation without this mental rock that she has in Wahlberg's character. And even then, she physically cannot make the jump off the oil platform. I know it's probably pretty scary for any of us, but this is a life or death situation, and you're going to function completely different in a life or death situation, jumping 100 feet into the water instead of jumping off a 100-foot diving board into an ocean just for shits and giggles. This is clearly a different situation, and we're going to react differently, and we can't really know how we would react until we got in that situation. But that being said, Wahlberg seemed to do it, and she could not do it physically herself, so he tricked her into tossing her off the oil rig. So that's what he did. He took control of the situation. He tossed her off the oil rig. And then when he made his jump, because he had to spend all that time bullshitting and coaching her through the big jump off the oil rig, he gets nailed in the fucking head because he's late jumping off the oil rig. So if she wasn't a giant pansy, he probably wouldn't have got smoked in the head, which getting smoked in the head while trying to swim is very dangerous. He's lucky he's not dead, obviously. That is the closest Wahlberg essentially comes to dying in the movie, and it was kind of her fault. Her fault in almost killing somebody because of her lack of inaction, because she had to be babied through this disaster situation. Now, you might be thinking, hold on. This is a movie. How real is this? How accurate is this to the actual story, to the actual events? Well, this is a biographical movie, meaning that it's not based on a true story. It is the true story according to personal accounts. So it doesn't get much better than this than a documentary, basically. This is about as true to the truth that Hollywood gets when it comes to movie making. And the criticisms that seem to have, the one criticism that seems to be had is that it only tells the story from simply one perspective, rather than everyone. But that being said, how on earth are you expected to make a Hollywood thriller with 118 perspectives included? That's not going to work. Not in the slightest. I don't see how that would work. That is documentary territory. So, that being said, this movie is to the teeth 100% truth and accurate. And what this entails for the purpose of this video is this woman functioning under a disaster situation, and our analysis of it in the relationship to the vast majority of men portrayed in the movie is as real as it gets. And this movie made in no way a statement against the timeless feminist narrative that a girl can do anything just as good as a boy can. This movie was only making a statement on the true events of the Deepwater Horizon disaster. And as a byproduct, showed us a real situation of how a woman reacted in a disaster situation in relationship to how the men reacted. Like I said, this is one example. However, this is what made the movie great, is because it was real, it was reality. We saw how they functioned, how they reacted, and we knew in our minds and hearts that this wasn't some sort of watered down bullshit Hollywood. It was refreshing to see the silver screen showcase reality that we experience every day. And of course, I'm not talking about us experiencing some sort of disaster, some life-threatening disaster every day where we have to jump off an oil rig in order to survive. I'm talking about just the simple, real things. How the grind at work, the reality of people we experience, and the personalities that shine through, the security protocols and the lag and bullshit with large corporations, as well as everything just always being fucking broken at work. We all know that. We can all experience that. How where we live doesn't feel like a James Bond movie. We live in a normal house. We have a normal family or normal kids. And we have a normal truck. But also the differences of men and women. We understand there's behavioral differences between men and women. We know that. We know women function a certain way, and we know men function a certain way. I love the superhero flick just as much as everyone, but we all know that Scarlett Johansson and the Black Widow is a bunch of bullshit. We don't know any women that behave like that in real life. We just don't. Maybe a few, but for the most part, not really. They're a very rare case. I understand half of them have fucking superpowers, and Tony Stark drives a fucking Lamborghini all over the place, but there's obviously a detachment from those movies. It doesn't feel real. We know it's a superhero movie. It's fun to watch Thor bash the shit out of Loki and all those other shit on the silver screen. It's entertaining, but it's refreshing to see reality. And it is, without a doubt, enjoyable to not have bullshit like Ghostbusters being slammed down our fucking throats. I didn't even know this movie existed until I showed up in the movie theater and we just chose it on a whim. And I was sure shit is glad I watched this movie. I was like, holy fuck, this is really something. This is greatness. I mean, dare I say it, but it's really amazing that a great movie is one that doesn't ram bullshit down our throats. Doesn't try to call us sexist if we don't watch the movie in their advertising campaign, or at least implying it. Because we understand the culture war that is brewing, so to speak. I don't really have much else words to say. I think that I've laid it all out there, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's time to end it, so I hope you guys have a good day, and hopefully see you in the next one.